Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tina. If you're new here, you're very much welcome to the family. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for the love and support. Be sure to like my videos and share with whoever it is that you think would find this video helpful. Do interact in the comment section and don't forget to click on the notification bell down below so that you get updated whenever I have new uploads. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing tips on how you can manage working full-time and studying full-time as well. I know I have nursing stated on the title. Yes, nursing is very demanding. However, studying in general is very stressful. So whether you are a nursing student or not, I believe you'll be able to pick one or two vital information from this video. So please stick around if this one is for you. Disclaimer, this video may not be for the people that are privileged enough to have like their bills and their tuition sorted out. If that is the case with you, then by all means focus on your education. But if that is not the case with you, if you don't have your rent sorted and your bills paid out and all that stuff, then you would need to get a job and you need to be able to find a balance between working and studying. Having said that, let's delve right into it. The first point on my list would be understanding your schedule. The first week that I moved to Gdansk, I got a job offer, and that was the period I was supposed to resume school. But I couldn't really take up the job because I did not understand what my class schedule was going to be like. I hadn't even seen the timetable. I was very unsure whether to take up the job or not. I then sent an email to them letting them know that I was going to get back to them within the space of 1 week. So after that 1 week, my school released a timetable. So when I saw my timetable, I was like, no, this cannot work because it would start with training. So the time I was supposed to resume was 3 to 11. And my first semester timetable was so loaded. It was so packed. I would look for like the screenshots and probably attach on the screen. We had classes up until like 8 p.m. We had laboratories where, it was so packed. So there was no way I could do the job if I actually wanted to study. And remembering that I don't have any background in nursing, I don't have any background in like healthcare or science and stuff like that, it meant that I needed to study twice as hard as any other person that had a background in science or that had done something similar in the past. So I could not afford to, take up the job. So, I declined the job offer and I gave myself time to kind of like get familiar with my school schedule, my lecturers, and everybody, like even make friends, right? So that allowed me to understand what course I should prioritize and what lecturers are quite lenient that I can actually speak to. And then I realized that, okay, there are like two groups. If I don't make it for classes in group 1, I can make up by joining group 2, right? And it just made me understand like the lecturers. Some lecturers may not take up like their whole units, like the whole hours they were supposed to spend on the class, on one exact class. So having that at the back of my mind, I was then able to plan for my next job application. I then started to apply for jobs, right? So it's very important that you give yourself some time, even if it's like the space of 1 month or 2 months. I was lucky enough to have worked the summer before the job started. So I had some, a few change with me to afford not working. But if you cannot, then you can always like give yourself like, even if it's just 2 weeks to kind of get familiar with your timetable and know what courses are mandatory and so, the courses that you can skip, the ones that you don't necessarily have to wait until the end of the class. And that will basically make you get familiar with your timetable. Now you understand your timetable and then you start searching for a job, you find a job. Now this brings me to my second point, which is find a job that aligns with your schedule. Since you understand your school schedule, when you're applying for a job, you're looking for flexible jobs, and then you're also looking for jobs that is the exact opposite of your school schedule. Like the time schedule of that job is the exact opposite of your school schedule. And sometimes when you're applying for jobs, hiring managers would ask you, are you available to work for a certain type of shift? It would help you know what job to decline and what job to accept. It would also help you be able to negotiate your working time and be able to explain your situation to the manager to see if there is possibility of offering you like flexible schedule. So yeah, it's very important to find a job that is not like the same schedule as your school. The first job I got was at a restaurant. That one was very flexible. I could even work like just 7 hours. I could work in the evening. I could work just weekends. Whatever schedule I wanted, I just needed to communicate my availability to the manager. This is very crucial. Now, the third one on my list is prioritizing. You have to be able to prioritize which is more important to you, whether class or school. But I would say just finding a balance, because they are both important. Personally, I think that what is more crucial is being able to find a balance, right? Find out what courses are, because like there are some courses that are not mandatory for you to go. I think it would vary from university to university, but there are some courses that would be like you don't have to be present, you don't, and then there are some courses that you compulsorily need to be present, or else you'll not be able to write exams. So basically understanding those courses, and then if you can be able to take overtime on your days off at school, just take overtime at work, so that those days that you are not able to come to work, the days that you take overtime for can cover. The second job I got was a little bit less flexible, but the pay was higher, so I was always going late. Before I got the opportunity to start working from home, I needed to work from the office for a certain period of time. The office was very far from where I stayed. I was getting to work late, and that was not good with my adherence, so my manager started to complain. So what I was then doing to cover up for the days that I come late, or the days that I don't even come at all, was I would take overtime. Some days I would work for 12 hours straight, just staring at my screen. It wasn't like the most easiest thing to do, but it was still better than doing, the restaurant job that I was doing. So yeah, you have to be able to prioritize, know which one comes first on a certain day, because the truth is, if you want to you say you're prioritizing like your work, there's some days that you need to prioritize your school, and then there's some days that you're like, okay, well, I can place more priority on my work for today. So you need to be able to find out what to prioritize, when to prioritize, and how to prioritize. Another thing that I was doing when it comes to prioritizing is, at the beginning of the semester, I always look at my timetable, and I just try to ask myself, or find out which courses for that semester are the most important. I remember we were having pharmacology. The semester we had pharmacology, I just knew that I had to pay a lot of attention to pharmacology and had to dedicate a lot of time. I prioritized pharmacology, and I think another subject, I think about 2 courses for that semester, right? So this is something that you can do to also help you. You just at the beginning of the semester, just figure out what are those courses that are the core courses for that semester. That way you're dedicating more time, and even if you have to start studying for that particular course before even the semester starts, or ahead of when the classes will start, it would be very helpful. My next point would be for people that actually like home cooked meal, and for people that are on a very tight budget. Personally, for me, I was on a very tight budget, so I could not really afford junk food at all times, and I really like to eat home cooked meal, because those junk food, I get tired of them too, to be honest. I like my swallow, I like my egusi soup, my jollof rice, so I like to meal prep. My weekends are always very useful to me. I meal prep. It would help relieve the stress of having to cook during the week, or even the time that I would dedicate to cooking during the week. To be honest, I literally did not have time to cook at all during the week. The only thing I was doing was wake up, go to school, come back, work. So the best time for me to cook was during the weekend. And if I don't cook during the weekend, I just know that week I'm just going to be eating rubbish. Like, I cook in bulk, and I put it in like different plates and store in the freezer, in the refrigerator, so that it can be fresh. So this is something you can also implement if you are studying and you're working, and then you like food, you like to eat. Then you have to think about meal prepping, else you're going to be spending a lot of money. I mean, why are you working in the first place if you're going to be throwing everything in KFC and McDonald's food, and you're not going to be eating healthy? So if you can meal prep, it would help you as well. So another tip that I'm going to share is to try and make friends with your classmates, because the truth is, if you're going to be missing class, then you need notes. You need somebody to fill you in on the things that you have missed while you were away, right? So you cannot even afford to not be friends or keeping to yourself. You have to be friendly with your classmates so that they can help you. Another thing that would help when it comes to this particular point is study groups. If you can have study groups, because there are some things that they may not jot down in their notes, that the lecturer would actually have said in the class and they have it registered mentally, right? Those things may come out in the exam or may be very helpful to you in the future. Now, if you don't have study group where you share ideas, it would never come up. Like nobody would ever mention that and you would have missed out on that completely. This is why study groups are very important, because in study groups, you not only help yourselves to study, you actually are sharing ideas. What do you know? What do I know? What did I hear in class that you did not hear? What did the teacher say in class that you did not catch? Right? So that is very helpful. If you can create study group where you help yourself learn, you share ideas, whatever you know, you teach this person, whatever that person knows, they teach you. It is very helpful, especially to you who have a high tendency of missing out in class or skipping some classes. You definitely need to have a study group. It would go a long way. So my next point would be to use your weekend wisely. You already have like busy schedules from Mondays to Friday, going to class and then having to go to work as well. It's very essential for you to be able to use your weekend wisely. I already did mention that I cook during the weekend. Another thing that I do is I study during the weekend, especially like I said, after I have recognized those very important courses, because I can't study everything during the weekend. You can create a timetable for your study. If you do have time during the day as well, you can also study during the day. But if you don't, you can create a timetable for your weekend study. And definitely, you cannot study everything, especially in a semester where you're offering like 9 courses. There's no way you can study those 9 courses every weekend. No matter how you want to do it, it's almost impossible. So you have to prioritize. I mean, every course is important, but then there are those courses that if you don't give full attention to them, there's no way you'll pass those courses. So those ones are the ones that you set aside and make sure that every weekend you go over it. Another thing that comes with stress is lack of focus. If you're going to be stressed, if you're stressed from work and study, you would have a hard time focusing in class. So extra study aside from the ones you do in class and the ones that you do in your study group would also help you a lot. Your weekend, you have to rule out social life. This is the sacrifice you have to make. In my own case, I wanted to start a YouTube channel for the longest of time. I wanted to travel to a lot of places as well and just, hang out with friends and do fun things. But I couldn't start my YouTube channel up until now because yes, I'm in my final semester and I'm done with lectures. So now I have the luxury of time to do the things that I want to do. But yes, if you are at that point where you still have a lot in your plate, then you have to say goodbye temporarily because it's not going to be permanent. No partying, no hangouts, no weekend with my friends, no a day in my life, because you don't have that time, right? You literally don't have that time. So you need to focus on the important things. Use your weekend wisely and studying especially those core courses so that you do not get overwhelmed during exam. Speaking about sacrifices, this one is a bonus, but you're going to sacrifice your sleep. Like, you see that preaching that they used to preach that, okay, you need to sleep for like 8 hours a day. Please forget about that. Just cancel it out of your books because that's not going to work. Like if you can even find like 5 hours sleep, you'll be very grateful to God. I was working 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. It was too perfect for me. It was very perfect because, like I mentioned before, most of my classes were ending by 8 p.m. So some classes I would have to leave a little bit earlier if possible, and then some I would have to get to work a little bit late. By the time I get home and then go to bed, it will probably be around 4 a.m. I remember vividly there was this particular class. It was in second semester. She never jokes with her time. That's why I said you need to understand your schedule, you need to understand your lecturers, you just need to understand everything so that you know how to maneuver, right? So that particular woman, she never jokes with her time. Like you have to be there by 7 a.m. I'll sleep at 4 a.m. and then at 6:30 I'm up to just quickly get ready and rush off to school. That's literally like 2 hours. And that's not going to be the only class for the day, which means that after the next class, I'm moving to work. You have to sacrifice your sleep on many days. You have to. That's why weekend is very important. For my weekend, I can sleep up until like 12 noon, catching up on the days that I couldn't get enough sleep during the week. Another thing is to cut yourself some slack. Please do not be too hard on yourself and always check in on your body and soul. You should come first. Priority is you. If you break down, you will be forced to take a break at a price, right? So please take a break when your body tells you to. and also cut yourself some slack when it comes to your subject. There are times when you'll not meet up with like assignment deadlines, or you probably be the last person to submit in the class. There are times when you will not do as well as you know you should have done if you are in a better space, but cut yourself some slack. Also, see this as a phase in your life. Let the end result be the motivation to keep you going. There's a high tendency that you're going to feel so overwhelmed and you would want to completely quit. Well, don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Just remember the reason why you're doing this in the first place. Remember the light that is at the end of the tunnel. So when you look at it, it just motivates you to keep going because yes, you're getting to the light, right? So let that be your motivation and don't quit. And also remember that there's always a lesson to learn in this whatever situation you find yourself. So this phase of your life, which is temporary, there's a lesson to learn from it. Generally, some apps that would help you, I really did not use a lot of apps during my time. I would say the reminder and the alarm works for me. I make sure to set my reminder for the day. Like I start my day setting my reminder for each task that I have to prioritize and that I have to make sure that I do. And then I've seen people that would say that syncing their timetable with Google Calendar helps them. I didn't do that. I basically just set my timetable as my wallpaper. That way, whenever I open my phone, the first thing that I see is my timetable. So I am constantly reminded of what my schedule is like. Every week we have a different schedule. So every week I change my wallpaper to that week's timetable. It works for me. So this brings me to the end of my video. If you have watched me up until now, thank you so much for sticking with me till this end. Be sure to like my videos, subscribe as well. I have seen my analytics and about 50% of people that are watching my videos are not subscribed. What are you waiting for? Please subscribe to my channel. And be sure to click on the notification bell down below so you get notified whenever I have a new upload. Also remember to share to whoever it is that you think would find this video helpful. Thank you so much, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.